This YouTube video aims to provide a comprehensive exploration of World War I, delving into its causes, effects, and significant headlines that define this pivotal moment in history. Causes of the war. The causes of World War I are deeply rooted in the complex geopolitical landscape of the early 20th century. The war, often referred to as the Great War, erupted in 1914 and had far-reaching consequences that shaped the course of history. Several interconnected factors contributed to the outbreak of this global conflict. Nationalism was a potent force in the years leading up to World War I. European nations were driven by intense pride in their respective cultures and sought to assert dominance. This led to a competitive atmosphere, with countries vying for supremacy and seeking to expand their influence on the global stage. Nationalistic fervor contributed to an us versus them mentality, fostering a climate conducive to conflict. The age of imperialism heightened tensions as major powers competed for colonies, resources, and strategic advantages. European nations engaged in a race to acquire overseas territories, leading to rivalries and territorial disputes. The scramble for Africa and the competition in the Balkans were particularly contentious, creating a volatile backdrop for the outbreak of war. A widespread embrace of militarism characterized the pre-war era. Nations engaged in an arms race, building up their military capabilities in anticipation of potential conflicts. The belief in the strategic advantage of a strong military presence fueled the development of large standing armies and sophisticated weaponry. The militarization of European powers created an environment where war seemed not only inevitable but, in some cases, even desirable to showcase military might. The alliance system, intended to promote stability and deter aggression, ultimately contributed to the escalation of the conflict. Two major alliance blocs emerged: the Triple Entente, comprising France, Russia, and the United Kingdom, and the Triple Alliance, comprising Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy, initially, later replaced by the Ottoman Empire and Bulgaria. The complex network of alliances meant that when one nation was drawn into a conflict, its allies were obligated to join, transforming a localized dispute into a continental and eventually global war. The immediate trigger for the outbreak of World War I was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in Sarajevo on June 28, 1914. The heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne was assassinated by Gavrilo Princip, a Bosnian Serb nationalist. Austria-Hungary, seeking to assert its dominance in the Balkans, issued an ultimatum to Serbia, leading to a series of events that triggered the activation of alliances and the declaration of war. Despite diplomatic efforts to diffuse tensions, the intricate web of alliances, coupled with the rigid adherence to pre-war military plans, left little room for peaceful resolution. The failure of diplomacy to address the complex issues and power dynamics among the nations involved ultimately paved the way for the outbreak of hostilities. In conclusion, the causes of World War I are multifaceted and interconnected. Nationalism, imperialism, militarism, the alliance system, and the specific circumstances surrounding the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand all played crucial roles in setting the stage for the global conflict. The war had profound and lasting effects, reshaping the political map of Europe, redefining the balance of power, and sowing the seeds for subsequent conflicts in the 20th century. Understanding the intricate web of factors that led to World War I is essential for grasping the complexities of global history during this critical period. The spark. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand on June 28, 1914, in Sarajevo, Bosnia, is widely considered the spark that ignited the flames of World War I. This pivotal event set in motion a series of diplomatic tensions, military mobilizations, and declarations of war that ultimately led to a global conflict of unprecedented scale and devastation. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and his wife, Sophie, Duchess of Hohenberg, were on an official visit to Sarajevo, a city with a complex mix of ethnic and nationalist tensions. The region was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and there was a growing desire for independence among various Slavic ethnic groups. Gavrilo Princip, a Bosnian Serb and a member of a nationalist organization called the Black Hand, saw this visit as an opportunity to strike a blow against Austro-Hungarian rule. On the morning of June 28, 1914, Franz Ferdinand and Sophie were traveling in a motorcade when they were attacked. Earlier in the day, another assassin had thrown a grenade at the Archduke's motorcade but failed to hit the intended target. Later, Franz Ferdinand and Sophie, unaware of the earlier attempt, decided to visit those injured in the hospital. Unfortunately, their driver took a wrong turn, bringing them directly into the path of Gavrilo Princip. Princip seized the opportunity and fired 2 shots, killing both Franz Ferdinand and Sophie. This single act of violence had far-reaching consequences that would reshape the course of history. The assassination triggered an immediate diplomatic crisis. Austria-Hungary, blaming Serbia for the attack, issued an ultimatum demanding strict measures against Serbian nationalist groups and interference in Serbian internal affairs. Serbia's response was seen as insufficient by Austria-Hungary, leading to the declaration of war on July 28, 1914. The complex system of alliances among European powers quickly came into play. Russia, allied with Serbia, began mobilizing its forces against Austria-Hungary. Germany, supporting Austria-Hungary, declared war on Russia. France, bound by a treaty with Russia, found itself at odds with Germany. As Germany invaded Belgium to reach France, Britain, committed to protecting Belgian neutrality, entered the war on August 4, 1914. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, seemingly a localized act of political violence, thus set off a domino effect, turning a regional conflict into a full-scale world war. The assassination revealed the fragility of the balance of power in Europe and the interconnectedness of nations through alliances. The war that followed would reshape the geopolitical landscape, dismantle empires, and introduce new technologies and tactics that brought unprecedented destruction. The consequences of World War I extended far beyond the immediate conflict. The harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles, which sought to punish Germany, laid the groundwork for future conflicts, including World War II. The war also ushered in societal changes, with the old order giving way to new political ideologies and social structures. In conclusion, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand was the spark that ignited the flames of World War I. This single act of violence, driven by nationalist fervor and political motivations, set off a chain reaction of events that would engulf the world in a conflict of unprecedented scale and consequence. The assassination serves as a critical moment in history, highlighting the intricate web of alliances, nationalistic tensions, and geopolitical complexities that can escalate a localized incident into a global catastrophe. Major battlefronts and tactics of World War I. World War I, also known as the Great War, was a conflict that unfolded on multiple battlefronts, each characterized by unique challenges, tactics, and devastating human costs. This segment provides a brief overview of the major battlefronts and the tactics employed during this unprecedented global conflict. The Western Front, stretching from the North Sea to the Swiss border, was marked by the infamous system of trenches that defined the war's character. Trench warfare emerged due to the deadlock created by modern weaponry and defensive capabilities. Soldiers dug elaborate networks of trenches, facing their enemies across a no-man's land laden with barbed wire and hazards. The Battle of the Somme and the Battle of Verdun are emblematic of the Western Front's brutal nature. The Somme witnessed massive casualties, with both sides entrenched in a stalemate despite enormous human sacrifice. Verdun, on the other hand, was a symbol of French resistance, where the fortified city endured a prolonged siege. The Eastern Front, spanning Eastern Europe, was characterized by more fluid and dynamic battles. German and Austro-Hungarian forces clashed with the Russian Empire, leading to significant territorial shifts. The Battle of Tannenberg, 1914, marked a decisive German victory, showcasing the mobility and tactical prowess of the German military. As the war progressed, the Eastern Front witnessed the entry of new nations, such as Romania, further complicating the strategic landscape. The mobility of the Eastern Front stood in stark contrast to the entrenched warfare in the West, illustrating the diverse nature of World War I. Naval warfare played a crucial role in World War I, with the Battle of Jutland, 1916, standing out as the largest naval engagement of the war. The British Grand Fleet clashed with the Imperial German Navy in the North Sea. While the battle did not decisively alter the course of the war, it highlighted the strategic importance of naval power. Submarine warfare, particularly unrestricted submarine warfare by German U-boats, became a significant tactic. The sinking of the RMS Lusitania in 1915, a British passenger ship, played a role in galvanizing public opinion against Germany and influencing the United States' eventual entry into the war. World War I witnessed the dawn of aerial warfare, with aircraft evolving from reconnaissance tools to formidable weapons. Dogfights between fighter planes became a common feature of the conflict. Pilots like the Red Baron, Manfred von Richthofen, gained fame for their aerial exploits. The introduction of bombers also added a new dimension to warfare, targeting enemy infrastructure behind the front lines. One of the most notorious aspects of World War I was the introduction of chemical warfare. Both sides deployed poison gas, including chlorine and mustard gas, resulting in widespread suffering and casualties. Gas attacks necessitated the development of gas masks, marking a disturbing technological advancement during the war. In conclusion, World War I was a multifaceted conflict with major battlefronts showcasing a variety of tactics and strategies. The Western Front's trench warfare symbolized the horrors of static, defensive struggles, while the Eastern Front witnessed more fluid and dynamic battles. Naval and air warfare introduced new dimensions to military strategies, and the use of chemical weapons added a dark chapter to the annals of warfare. The tactics employed during World War I not only shaped the course of the conflict, but also laid the groundwork for future military doctrines and geopolitical realities. Effects of World War I. World War I, also known as the Great War, was a conflict of unprecedented scale that had far-reaching consequences, reshaping the political, economic, and social landscapes of the nations involved. The effects of the war were profound, leaving an indelible mark on the 20th century. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, marked the official end of World War I. It imposed severe terms on Germany, holding it responsible for the war and demanding substantial reparations. The treaty's punitive nature planted the seeds for future conflicts, contributing to the rise of discontent in Germany and eventually fueling the outbreak of World War II. In an effort to prevent future conflicts, the League of Nations was established as part of the Treaty of Versailles. Conceived as an international organization to promote diplomacy and prevent aggression, the League faced challenges in its implementation. Its inability to prevent the outbreak of World War II highlighted the limitations of collective security efforts during that era. The war led to the dissolution of empires and the creation of new nations. The Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, and the Russian Empire disintegrated, giving rise to independent states such as Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, and Poland. The redrawing of borders was a complex process that sowed the seeds for future conflicts and geopolitical tensions. The economic repercussions of World War I were staggering. The war had drained the resources of many nations, leading to significant financial burdens. Germany, in particular, faced exorbitant reparations, exacerbating economic hardship and contributing to the hyperinflation of the Weimar Republic. The economic fallout of the war set the stage for the global economic struggles of the interwar period. The war brought about profound social changes, challenging traditional norms and paving the way for societal transformation. The experiences of soldiers in the trenches, the loss of a generation, and the trauma of war contributed to a shift in societal attitudes. Women's roles evolved as they took on new responsibilities in the absence of men, and the war also influenced the arts and literature, giving rise to expressions of disillusionment and the Lost Generation literary movement. World War I was a crucible for technological innovation. The war saw the introduction of new weapons, such as tanks, machine guns, and chemical warfare, which had a lasting impact on military strategies and the nature of future conflicts. The rapid pace of technological change during the war laid the groundwork for further advancements in the 20th century. The social and economic upheaval resulting from the war created fertile ground for the rise of authoritarian regimes. In Germany and Italy, the discontent with the post-war conditions paved the way for the ascent of Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini, leading to the establishment of fascist regimes. These developments set the stage for the broader geopolitical tensions that culminated in World War II. In conclusion, the effects of World War I were multifaceted and enduring. From the redrawing of borders and economic hardships to the social and cultural shifts, the war left an indelible mark on the course of history. Understanding these consequences provides insight into the complexities of the post-war world and the factors that contributed to the subsequent global conflicts. World War I was not only a watershed moment for the 20th century but also a pivotal chapter that shaped the trajectory of the modern world. Personal stories. In the vast tapestry of World War I, often defined by geopolitical strategies and large-scale battles, the individual narratives of soldiers, civilians, and leaders emerge as poignant and deeply human aspects that encapsulate the profound impact of the conflict. The personal stories of those who lived through World War I provide a unique lens through which we can grasp the human toll, resilience, and sacrifices made during this unprecedented global struggle. One of the most iconic and harrowing aspects of World War I was the trench warfare on the Western Front. Soldiers endured unimaginable hardships, facing constant threat from enemy fire, gas attacks, and the grueling conditions of living in muddy, rat-infested trenches. Personal letters and diaries from soldiers reveal the emotional toll of the war, expressing homesickness, fear, camaraderie, and the mental strain of prolonged conflict. Leaders and commanders played a crucial role in shaping the course of the war, and their personal stories offer insights into the challenges they faced. Figures like General Douglas Haig of the British Expeditionary Force and Field Marshal Paul von Hindenburg of Germany navigated the complexities of strategy, making decisions that would impact the lives of countless individuals. Examining their personal correspondence and memoirs provides a deeper understanding of the weighty responsibilities they bore. While men were on the front lines, women played vital roles on the home front. Their personal stories reflect not only the challenges of maintaining households and communities during wartime but also the empowerment that came with assuming new roles. Women entered the workforce in unprecedented numbers, taking on jobs traditionally held by men. The personal accounts of these women capture the societal shifts and changing dynamics that marked this period. Civilians, especially those living in war-torn regions, experienced the devastating consequences of conflict. Personal stories from cities under siege or facing occupation detail the struggles for survival, the loss of homes and loved ones, and the indomitable spirit to persevere against all odds. These narratives shed light on the resilience of ordinary people amidst extraordinary circumstances. The personal stories of medical personnel and Red Cross workers provide a glimpse into the challenges of treating the wounded and grappling with the unprecedented scale of injuries and illnesses. Their first-hand accounts reveal not only the physical toll on individuals but also the emotional strain of witnessing human suffering on a massive scale. Personal stories continue to resonate in the post-war era, shaping the collective memory of World War I. Letters, photographs, and artifacts passed down through generations serve as tangible links to the past. The experiences of those who lived through the war contribute to the ongoing efforts of remembrance, ensuring that the sacrifices and lessons learned are not forgotten. The conclusion of World War I was marked by the signing of the armistice on November 11, 1918, which effectively ended the hostilities on the Western Front. The armistice, signed in a railway carriage in Compiègne Forest, France, went into effect at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, bringing an end to the 4 years of brutal conflict. Several key factors contributed to the conclusion of World War I. Exhaustion and stalemate. The war had reached a state of exhaustion for all major powers involved. The brutal trench warfare on the Western Front had resulted in a stalemate, with neither the Allies nor the Central Powers able to achieve a decisive victory. Both sides suffered immense human and material losses. Entry of the United States. The entry of the United States into the war in April 1917 had a significant impact on tipping the balance in favor of the Allies. The American Expeditionary Forces, under the command of General John J. Pershing, provided fresh troops and resources, boosting the Allied war effort. Internal strife in Central Powers. Internal dissent and economic hardship within the Central Powers, particularly in Germany and Austria-Hungary, contributed to the collapse of these empires. Revolts and revolutions erupted, leading to political instability and calls for an end to the war. Blockade and economic pressure. The Allied naval blockade had severely impacted the Central Powers' access to crucial resources and supplies. Germany, in particular, faced economic hardships and food shortages, weakening its ability to continue the war. Revolution in Russia. The Russian Revolution in 1917 resulted in the Bolsheviks coming to power and signing the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk with the Central Powers in 1918. This allowed Germany to shift its focus to the Western Front but did not ultimately save the Central Powers from defeat. The armistice paved the way for peace negotiations, and the Treaty of Versailles, signed on June 28, 1919, formally ended the state of war between Germany and the Allied powers. The treaty imposed significant territorial, military, and economic provisions on Germany, intending to prevent future conflicts. The League of Nations, a precursor to the United Nations, was also established as part of the treaty with the goal of promoting international cooperation and preventing future wars. The conclusion of World War I had far-reaching consequences, shaping the political landscape of the 20th century. It set the stage for geopolitical realignments, the redrawing of national borders, the collapse of empires, and the emergence of new nations. Additionally, the harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles, with its punitive measures against Germany, sowed the seeds for lingering animosities and contributed to the conditions that eventually led to World War II.